Good to have you on Models and Agents, episode 123 for July 26, 2026. Plenty of model releases and agent benchmarks moving today. Photon-1 pre-trains on raw video alone to simulate desktops and play checkers, removing the action label requirement that has limited most video agents. Induction Labs released a 106 billion A5B sparse mixture of experts imagination model called Photon-1. It was pre-trained on raw video with no action labels at all. The model learns desktop simulation, checkers play, and billiard physics directly from passive video. This removes the explicit action frame pairings that most prior video agents required. The test system targets the data bottleneck that constrained earlier video-based agents. Builders working on long-horizon agents or world models can now explore pre-training pipelines that skip expensive action annotation. Watch for follow-up releases testing whether the same label-free approach scales to more complex environments. In model updates, the Gemma 4 family has now been downloaded more than 300 million times. The full Gemma Open Model series exceeds 900 million downloads. DeepMind positions these releases as core contributions to an open ecosystem alongside JAX and Transformers. Demis Hassabis noted that a strong open ecosystem supports responsible deployment of both open and proprietary models. Builders evaluating open models for production can factor these download figures into decisions about community support and fine-tuning momentum. Sakana AI released Fugu Cyber, a security-tuned endpoint on its Fugu orchestration model. It reports 86.9% on CyberGym and 72.1% on CTI RAM. The scores edge past GPT 5.5 Cyber and Claude Mythos Preview on the same benchmarks. Access requires manual approval plus a defensive use policy and token plan. Security teams evaluating orchestration models for endpoint tasks should request access and run their own CyberGym evaluations before deployment. A bachelor's project implemented full YOLO 26N inference in ARM64 assembly plus C on Raspberry Pi 4. The work includes Neon Silene Winograd convolution, optimized gem kernels, and custom microkernels for Conv, C3K2, SPPF, C2PSA, and detect layers. The custom binary format and operator fusion produced correct detections, though measured speedups fell short of initial targets. Edge developers targeting ARM devices without full frameworks can study the released repository for memory layout and cache tiling patterns. Signal Pilot Labs evaluated frontier and sub-frontier models on the 2026 International Mathematical Olympiad problems, using multiple harnesses including AutoFine. Frontier models reached perfect or near-perfect scores regardless of harness. Sonnet, Opus, and GLM4 improved with the multi-agent harness but still trailed. Every sub-frontier model missed the key reduction on the hardest problem P3, even in 20-hour runs that proved all other problems. Grading combined a separate frontier model with manual verification by former IMO medalists. Teams building math or reasoning agents should test whether their current harness supplies the missing high-level idea generation rather than only retrieval and verification. Rough 0.16.0 raised the number of default-enabled rules from 59 to 413. It flagged 1,618 issues across SQLite-utils alone. The update also expanded the total rule count from 708 to 968 since the last default change. Simon Willison used UVX-Rough at latestcheck.withfix and unsafe fixes to auto-resolve the bulk of issues in dataset SQLite-utils and LLM. Roughly 80 issues per project remained for manual review, including DTZ005 datetime calls without time zone arguments. Python developers should run the latest Rough with unsafe fixes on their largest repositories this week, and review the remaining issues for manual attention. Reactor released Open Dreamer, a JX Flax NNX reproduction of the Dreamer 4 world model pipeline that includes the full training recipe. The repositories provide a causal video tokenizer, action-conditioned latent dynamics model, rollout generation, and FVD scoring. 2 separate repos were published, with Next State Open Dreamer holding the training pipeline. Researchers reproducing world models can now start from the published training code instead of re-implementing the pipeline from papers. Okay, let's pop the hood on vector search indexes. In-memory HNSW delivers single-digit millisecond queries, but requires the entire graph to fit in RAM. Teams quickly hit expensive instance sizes once collections exceed a few 100 million vectors. Disk-based approaches, such as SPAN and Disk ANN, keep only a small hot set in memory and fetch compressed neighbor lists from SSD. This adds roughly 10 to 30 milliseconds per query while cutting RAM needs by 5 to 10 times on the same dataset. The quality gap appears mainly at high recall targets above 95%, where disk methods need extra re-ranking passes. When your working set stays under roughly 50 million vectors and sub-10 millisecond latency matters more than cost, stay in RAM. Once collections grow larger or you need to serve many tenants on the same hardware, move to a disk-aware index and budget for the extra re-ranking step. The gotcha that bites most teams is underestimating how quickly re-ranking cost grows once recall targets push past 0.95 on billion-scale collections. Run UVXRough at latest check.withfix and unsafe fixes on your largest Python project to surface the new default rules before they break CI. Request access to Fugu Cyber and run it on your own CyberGym subset to see whether the 86.9% score holds on your security tasks. Clone the Open Dreamer repositories and train a small world model on your own video data to test label-free pre-training. Study the ARM64 YOLO26N repository if you need to deploy detection without heavy frameworks on Raspberry Pi class hardware. More label-free video foundation models are expected as teams replicate the Photon-1 pre-training approach. Sakana AI may expand the Fugu family beyond the security-tuned endpoint now under manual approval. Additional IMO-style benchmarks from independent groups will likely appear as the 2026 problems circulate. Tomorrow, keep an eye on further rough rule expansions, given Astral's recent pace of enabling previously opt-in checks. That wraps up today's AI briefing. Share this with a developer or builder who wants to stay current. Subscribe wherever you listen. See you tomorrow, and if you'd rather watch than listen, find us on YouTube at Nera Network. Links in the show notes. And before you go, this show is part of the Nera Network, a family of daily podcasts on tech, science, and markets, each one a short, sharp briefing you can finish on the commute. If today earned its place in your feed, here's your next listen. OmniView, a balanced daily world news briefing that takes every side seriously. Find every show free at neranetwork.com. The age of AI puts real builders on the phone with an AI host. Apply at neranetwork.com/age-of-AI apply. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.